Hi guys, and welcome back to this channel. After spending 2 days camped at this pristine beach location, I decided it was time to make tracks and head to Point Culver. Point Culver is about 40 kilometers away from this camping location, and I decided to do the trip at low tide, driving on the compact sand rather than driving on the high side while the tide was up. I actually slept in this morning, and the tide was starting to come in, and so I had to make tracks fairly quickly. There is a second way to get to Point Culver from that camping spot, and you can actually drive through the bush there, but I'd only use that track if you couldn't get through the beach in case like there was a king tide or something. That track is extremely rough and bumpy, and like I said, you would only do it in case of an emergency. But if you wanted to do it, you could go back to the Point Culver Junction and just turn left instead of coming to the beach. About 3/4 of the way up to Point Culver, I passed the Bilbunya Dunes. These dunes apparently are the highest in the southern hemisphere, and I'll tell you what, they are quite impressive. Certainly a sight to see. As you can see, I got stuck doing a turn on the beach and hit some pretty soft sand. It wasn't hard to get out, simply just dig out behind the wheels and just go backwards rather than trying to go forward. Quite easy. After spending about 30 minutes at Point Culver, I decided to drive back and find the entry point for the next campsite, but it wasn't easy. I found this one, but there's no way the van was getting up there, so I decided to keep looking for the next one. I know that there is one not far from Point Culver, but without any other forward drive tracks around, it's quite hard to find. And now I'm dealing with a tide coming in. Having reached the dunes again, I knew that I passed the entry point, and I quickly had to decide whether I went back and try and find it, park on the high side and wait for the tide to go out, or make a dash for the camping site. I decided to go back to the camping site where I knew it would be safe, but I was quickly running out of beach and really need to put my foot into it to get back safely without sinking the van. That was a hectic drive. Coming back, I had to just put the speed up and just go for it. My tracks going up to Point Culver were all gone by the time I headed back, and so I was having to choose a really good line between the water line and between the soft sand and just punch it. Man, I was stressing hard on that. It's amazing how quickly the tide comes in, and how careful you've got to be with tides. Low tide was this morning at around 6:30. I should have really gone out before low tide and not gone out there on the incoming tide. That's probably one of the biggest dangers, is when you're driving on the beaches on the incoming tide, and if you have a problem like we did, then you can come undone quite quickly. And so, yeah, I've learnt that lesson. All right, time for a coffee, and then work out what we're going to do. We're going to calculate how much fuel we have left and whether we can go up the conveyor belt road or whether we head back into town. But yeah, we'll do some calculations. But after that coffee, whew, bloody March flies. They're everywhere. Plus these bees, mate, the bees are everywhere as well. Crazy. They're looking for any little drop of water that they can have. It's pretty dry out here. Every little bit of water makes a difference, I guess. Anyway, while I was trying to calculate whether I go back west or if I can try to go east, a group of four-wheel drive enthusiasts came up to the spot where I was parked, and they are actually heading east and up the conveyor belt road. They're going to be camping at Mellen camp, I think, tonight. So I'm going to wait till about maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, and then I'll make a run for Mellen camp, and then I'll meet those guys there. Those guys were also very helpful. They said that if I did get stuck, they would come and rescue me out of the beach there. So it looks like that we're going to be heading east and making it up the conveyor belt road and up to the Eyre Highway. They're a group of about 10 cars, I think, and so if I run into any problems, I'll get assistance, and that's what it's all about. It's not to take stupid risks and get yourself stuck in a place that's very, very remote. When you come across a group like this, you can take a little bit more risk because someone can pull you out. Anyway, I'm going to have a rest now and wait until midday and then crack it east. But yeah, I'm so happy now. Woo!
Billy is 2 cars in from the back.
We made tracks after a quick head count, ensuring that no one was missing and had been murdered during the night. It was actually a joke going around, but I suppose you had to be there. The convoy then came to a halt as one of the vehicles in the group became bogged to a loss of momentum. The sand is very, very, very soft up here, and you really need a good runoff to get all the way up the hill, as the hill is quite steep. especially when you hit the conveyor belts. That section is extremely steep, and without those conveyor belt tracks there, you wouldn't make it up, or many vehicles wouldn't make it up, put it that way. With the bogged vehicle recovered and the track cleared, it was soon going to be time for me and Betty to make that climb up the hill. I was a little apprehensive. I wasn't sure if we'd make it all the way up because my vehicle isn't raised and doesn't have as much power as these Land Cruisers. But we're going to give it a good crack anyway and see how it goes. If all else fails, I suppose the boys could give me a winch up the hill. No, I don't think that'd be necessary. Unfortunately, that was the only video of Betty coming up the hill, but I did actually grab some video of another vehicle with a caravan coming up, and this is it. We made a move after I adjusted my tyre pressures to 28 and 30 psi, and the track had a varying degree of surface. It would go from limestone rocks to sandy, and then back to limestone again, and then more sand, and then just hard dirt. It was definitely slow going, and we were averaging speeds of around 20 kilometers per hour. The tyre pressures I selected were actually too low because I ended up splitting the sidewall in the front left tyre and also making a mark in the left-hand rear tyre. At this point I decided to pump the tyres up to 40 psi just to get the tyres off the sidewall and back onto the tread. I did plan to follow the group up to Luna Cave and then go up to the highway at Kaiguna, but having no spare tyres left and not having any spare tyres available within the group meant that I needed to get up to the highway as quick as possible. It was then that I decided that I would leave the group, say my goodbyes, and then make my own way up to the Eyre Highway via the Bilbunya track. The Bilbunya track is a little bit better on the tyres. There was less limestone to deal with. However, there are some long sections which are deeply rutted with bull dust. It looks like mud ruts, but they're actually bull dust. And I tell you what, the van struggled to get through them because it was hard to get traction and there was just dust flying everywhere. I think there was 2 sections of bull dust altogether, which were probably about 5 kilometers long each. I wasn't able to get those sections on camera because I can tell you it was quite difficult handling the van to get through it. Alright guys, I've finally made it to the Eyre Highway, and what a mission. This track here, man, just half a meter deep in bull dust for about 5 kilometers. What a struggle, absolute struggle. The rest of the road is okay, but man, what a mission. That's it for this episode, guys. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye for now.